magical Virginia V, a century of weaving maritime memories. We all seek to create indelible memories, and one of mine came in 1988 when I helped lead a Southwest Seattle Historical Society cruise to celebrate the first voyage of the City of Seattle, the first ferry boat on Puget Sound. Sadly, the original craft had ventured south to become a houseboat in Sausalito. So standing, or shall I say floating in, was another vintage vessel, Seattle's legendary passenger carrier, the Virginia V. What a glorious 2-hour trip we had. Though 200 were aboard, the steamer felt like a comfy cottage, a buoyant sanctuary. Our Vice President, Neil Lockett, joked that everyone must have had a good time because no one left early. But the sentiment transcended jest. We had been soothed equally by tradition and tranquility. For 100 years, the Virginia V has woven such maritime magic. It is the last of 5 Virginia ships, the first incarnation named for Virginia Merrill, whose later marriage resulted in a vast Bainbridge Island garden known today as Bloedel Reserve. The 120-foot-long Virginia V originally was operated by West Pass Transportation Company, an indication of its headquarters and midway stop in regular runs between Tacoma and Seattle along the west side of rural Vashon Island. On the National Register for Historic Places since 1973, the Virginia V remains the sole surviving mosquito fleet steamship among hundreds of private craft that once plied Puget Sound like a swarm of busy bugs. Before transporting farmers, freight, excursionists, and even World War II soldiers, the Virginia V forged its earliest identity as the summertime vehicle for hundreds of Seattle campfire girls to reach the recently purchased Camp Self on Vashon's southwest shore. Before being towed to Seattle for installation of its boilers and engines, the Virginia V was christened March 2, 1922, by Camp Fire Secretary Ellen Bringlow. If sea traditions are to be trusted, the Seattle Times reported, Dame Fortune smiled favorably upon the Virginia V, for with one blow Miss Bringlow shattered the bottle of grape juice over the keel, and as if cheered by this good luck, the boat glided smoothly down the ways, splashed gently into the Sound, and floated proudly off. After a century of service, including a 1934 wreck during a storm near the Kitsap County hamlet of Olalla, and a brief 1942 Portland to Astoria run on the Columbia River, along with expensive latter-day restorations mounted by a dedicated foundation, the Virginia V still invites passengers to tour Puget Sound. Seemingly unscathed by modern modes of transit, it continues to make memories for us all. Did I mention its exhilarating steam whistle? In our first then, backed by a working Seattle waterfront, the Virginia V takes its first voyage on June 11, 1922. Today, flanked by sailboats while gliding west from Lake Union, the Virginia V cruises toward the Ballard Locks in Shilshole Bay on July 9th, prior to a Bainbridge Island Historical Museum cruise the following day. For info on chartering, tours, field trips, events such as in Olympia September 3rd and 4th, and volunteer opportunities, visit virginiav.org. Back to our second then, as shown in the June 20th, 1922 Seattle Times, Seattle campfire girls and counselors board the Virginia V at the downtown waterfront for a 2-week stint at Camp Self at the southwest corner of Vashon Island. The name Lisa Beulah on the life ring represented a community north of the camp, reportedly named for 2 women who operated its tiny post office. Today, at the historic ship's wharf at Lake Union Park near the Museum of History and Industry, replicating the 1922 photo are, from left, John McClintock, crew member, Sarah Intriligator, passenger, Deborah Alderman, Foundation Executive Director, Rebecca Laszlo, passenger, Ed Brown, senior docent, John Arneson, passenger, Will Wagner and Stephen Walsh, crew members, Tad Bixby, passenger, and Mark Miller, finance manager and crew member. Above are, from left, Allison Green, passenger, and Megan Kolensky and Lee Ki Huang, crew interns. Back to then photos. Dressed somewhat like 100 years earlier, Brad Chrisman left, and Clay Eals of the Southwest Seattle Historical Society strike a pose serious enough for 1888 while standing at the bow of the Virginia V during a December 10, 1988 cruise to celebrate the centennial of the first ferry on Puget Sound. In our next then photo, shown in the October 22, 1934 Seattle Times, is the severely damaged Virginia V during a storm near tiny Olalla. The wreck imperiled 25 to 30 passengers. A few were injured, and many lost luggage, but amazingly, the vessel's power plant and hull were unharmed. 6 weeks and $11,000 worth of repairs later, the boat went back into service. In our last then photo, the Virginia V's first regular sailing schedule from the June 23, 1922 Vashon Island News Record.